The morning mist hung thick across the Rapido River valley, so dense that even the shattered stone walls of Casino Monastery disappeared into white nothing. February 9th, 1944. Scharfschütze Karl-Heinz Weber adjusted his Karabiner 98K, the 4-power Zeiss scope cold against his cheek, and waited for the fog to lift enough to see the American positions 400 meters below. He had been a sniper for 18 months, credited with 43 confirmed kills across Russia and now Italy. His rifle was familiar, trusted, an extension of his will. The bolt worked smoothly as he chambered a round, the 7.92mm cartridge sliding home with mechanical precision. Through brief tears in the fog, he caught glimpses of movement. American soldiers, careless in the mist's concealment, believing themselves invisible. Weber selected his target. A rifleman carrying his weapon at port arms, confident, unhurried. The German sniper led him, slightly, compensating for the downward angle, and squeezed. If you're enjoying this deep dive into the story, hit the subscribe button and let us know in the comments from where in the world you are watching from today. The shot echoed across the valley, and through his scope, Weber watched the American crumple. But before he could work his bolt to chamber another round, something unexpected happened. 3 rifle shots cracked from the American lines in rapid succession, not the scattered return fire he expected from bolt-action rifles, but a controlled burst that forced him to duck behind the stone parapet. Chips of masonry exploded where his head had been a second before. He risked a glance. The fog was lifting faster now, revealing not the hasty confusion he anticipated, but organized movement. More shots. Too many shots, too quickly. These were not submachine guns with their distinctive chatter, but rifle fire, heavy and deliberate, yet impossibly fast. One shooter, he realized, with growing unease. Multiple rapid shots without pause for reloading. Weber had heard rumors from comrades who fought in Sicily and Salerno, stories about American riflemen who never seemed to stop shooting, who could maintain fire like a light machine gun. He had dismissed these accounts as exaggeration, the usual complaints of soldiers facing material superiority. Now, pressed against cold stone while bullets sought him with methodical precision, he understood the stories had not been exaggerated enough. What Karl-Heinz Weber could not know, crouched in his sniper hide above the Rapido, was that the American doctrine for counter-sniper operations had undergone a quiet revolution. The rifle firing at him was likely an M1903A4 Springfield, a bolt-action weapon similar to his own Mauser in mechanical principles, but employed by a military that understood something the Wehrmacht had not yet grasped. Volume of accurate fire could suppress even the most skilled sniper, and in workshops at Springfield Armory, 7,000 miles away, engineers were mounting telescopic sights on a weapon that would make German sniper doctrine obsolete. The development of American sniper rifles in World War II followed a path dictated by industrial pragmatism rather than martial tradition. When the United States entered the war in December 1941, the Army possessed no standardized sniper rifle. The beloved Springfield M1903 had been largely replaced by the M1C Garand in frontline service, though Marine units and some Army divisions retained Springfields through early campaigns. The need for designated marksmen became apparent quickly in North Africa, where German snipers extracted heavy tolls on inexperienced American troops. The solution was the M1903A4, a simplified Springfield fitted with a Weaver 333 C2.5 power telescopic sight. The scope mounted directly over the receiver, requiring removal of the rifle's iron sights. This weapon entered production in early 1943, and by the Italian campaign, every American infantry regiment included designated marksmen armed with scoped Springfields. These rifles proved effective at ranges to 600 yards, and in the hands of skilled shooters, could reach beyond 700. But the M1903A4 represented compromise, not innovation. It was a bolt-action rifle in an army increasingly built around semi-automatic firepower. The M1C Garand had proven itself devastatingly effective in infantry combat. Its 8-round clip and gas-operated action allowing American riflemen to maintain fire superiority that German soldiers found overwhelming. Every combat report, every after-action analysis, every prisoner interrogation confirmed the same conclusion. Semi-automatic rifles changed the mathematics of infantry combat. The question facing Army ordnance by 1943 was obvious. If semi-automatic fire transformed infantry tactics, why not apply the same principle to precision shooting? John Garand's rifle was accurate, reliable, and already in mass production. Mounting a telescopic sight seemed straightforward. The reality proved far more complex. The M1's operating system presented unique challenges. The rifle ejected spent cartridges upward and to the right, requiring any scope to be mounted off-center. The receiver, designed for rapid manufacture, was not configured for the drilling and tapping necessary for scope mounts. Most critically, the M1 was a battlefield weapon, subjected to hard use, requiring any scope mounting system to maintain zero despite rough handling. Engineers at Springfield Armory began experimenting with various mounting solutions in 1943. The most promising design came from Griffin and Howe, a commercial gunsmithing firm known for high-end sporting rifles. Their mount is attached to the left side of the receiver, with 3 screws and 2 taper pins, positioning the scope offset from centerline. This allowed normal operation of the M1's action, while providing adequate eye relief. The scope selected was the Lyman Alaskan, a 7/8-inch tube optic designated M82, with 2.2 power magnification and a tapered post-reticle. By June 1944, the rifle designated M1C was officially adopted. The timing seemed fortuitous. American forces were pushing across France, preparing for the drive into Germany. Italian mountains saw daily sniper duels. The Pacific Island campaigns demanded precision fire in jungle terrain, yet the M1C barely entered combat before war's end. Production challenges plagued the program. Drilling and tapping the hardened M1 receiver required specialized tooling. Many receivers warped slightly during the process, affecting accuracy. Quality control proved difficult to maintain under wartime production pressure. 971 M1C rifles produced during the war, most remained in depots or training centers. Only a handful reached combat units in the final months before Japanese surrender. This failure to deploy the M1C in significant numbers during World War II obscures a more important development. The concept itself, a semi-automatic sniper rifle, represented a fundamental rethinking of precision shooting doctrine. German snipers like Weber operated under assumptions forged in World War I and refined in Russia. The sniper was a lone hunter, patient and hidden, taking single shots from concealment. Each shot required careful preparation. After firing, the sniper either withdrew or remained perfectly still, waiting for the next opportunity. This doctrine worked brilliantly with bolt-action rifles, where working the bolt compromised concealment and required time to reacquire the target. American doctrine, influenced by the M1 Garand's capabilities, evolved differently. Designated marksmen operated as part of rifle squads, providing accurate suppressive fire at extended ranges. They were not primarily hunters but fire support, maintaining pressure on enemy positions while maneuver elements closed. This required multiple rapid shots, not single perfect kills. The distinction seemed subtle but proved decisive. A German sniper with a Kar 98K might fire 3 aimed shots per minute, working his bolt between rounds, reacquiring his target each time. An American marksman with an M1C could fire 8 aimed shots in 20 seconds, maintaining his sight picture, adjusting fire based on impact observation. The mathematical implications were stark. Consider a typical engagement. German sniper, 400 meters from target, using a 4-power scope. He fires, scoring a near miss. Working his bolt requires 2 seconds, during which he loses his sight picture. Reacquiring the target through the scope takes another second. Compensating for the miss requires assessing point of impact, adjusting aim. Total time for second shot, roughly 4 to 5 seconds, during which his target has moved or taken cover. The American, with an M1C fires, observes the same near miss, and fires again in less than 1 second, the semi-automatic action chambering a fresh round without losing the sight picture. The target has not yet reacted to the first shot. The second bullet is already in flight, adjusted for the observed error. This advantage multiplied across engagements. German sniper doctrine emphasized patience, perfect shots, psychological impact of unexpected death. American doctrine emphasized sustained accurate fire, suppression, and fire support. Neither approach was inherently superior, but they reflected a different understanding of modern warfare's tempo. The Wehrmacht trained snipers for weeks or months in specialized schools, teaching fieldcraft, camouflage, ballistics, and patience. These courses produced skilled hunters, men like Matthäus Hetzenauer and Sepp Allerberger, who scored hundreds of confirmed kills in Russia. Their training emphasized shot discipline, waiting for the perfect moment, making every cartridge count. American training, by necessity shorter and more pragmatic, emphasized integration with infantry units. Designated marksmen learned to read battlefields, identify high-value targets, and provide covering fire. They trained on known distance ranges, learning hold-offs and Kentucky windage rather than scope adjustments. Most critically, they trained to shoot quickly at opportunity targets, accepting good enough shots rather than waiting for perfect conditions. The difference in approach reflected broader military philosophies. German doctrine, even late in the war, retained elements of 19th century warfare. The individual soldier's skill, the superiority of German training and equipment, the will to victory through personal excellence. American doctrine accepted that individuals' excellence mattered less than systemic superiority. Better equipment in sufficient quantity, integrated combined arms, overwhelming firepower. Karl-Heinz Weber, pinned in his position above the Rapido, represented the culmination of German sniper training. He possessed a superb rifle, excellent optic, years of experience, and 43 confirmed kills. Yet he faced something his training never addressed: American infantry, who shot back instantly, accurately, and persistently. Not with panic fire, but controlled marksmanship, multiple rifles converging on his position, forcing him to remain hidden rather than hunting. By the time he withdrew that afternoon, he had fired 6 shots and scored 2 hits, respectable by German standards, insufficient by any standard when facing an enemy who could maintain persistent, accurate fire. The broader implications emerged slowly through 1944. German after-action reports from Italy, France, and the Ardennes repeatedly mentioned American marksmen fire. Not snipers in the German sense, but riflemen who shot well at distance, maintaining pressure, preventing German infantry from maneuvering freely. Prisoner interrogations revealed American squad tactics that seemed wasteful by German standards. Designated marksmen might fire 30 or 40 rounds in an engagement, seeking to suppress rather than kill. This seemed profligate to German officers trained to conserve ammunition, but it worked. The psychological impact proved as significant as the tactical effect. German snipers entered combat confident in their superiority. They possessed better optics, better training, more experience. German scopes, Zeiss and Hensoldt and Ajax, represented optical engineering's pinnacle, with 4-power, 6-power, even 8-power magnification. Bullet drop compensating turrets calibrated for specific ranges. German sniper ammunition, the Schwer Spitzgeschoss heavy-pointed bullet, offered superior ballistic coefficients to American 30-06. On paper, every advantage belonged to the Wehrmacht. Yet German snipers died with disturbing frequency to American counter-sniper fire. The explanation appeared slowly through accumulated experience. Americans did not hunt snipers individually. They suppressed them with volume of fire, pinned them with sustained shooting, then destroyed their positions with mortars or artillery. A German sniper might achieve perfect concealment, fire a single devastating shot, then find himself under fire from multiple directions. American riflemen and designated marksmen all shooting at his suspected position, preventing him from firing again or withdrawing safely. Oberscharführer Paul Meyer, a Waffen-SS sniper credited with 68 kills, described the phenomenon in a post-war interview conducted by American intelligence officers. "The Americans never gave us time. In Russia, you could shoot, withdraw, relocate. The Soviets would shell your last position for hours. Very dangerous, but predictable. The Americans were different. You fired once, and immediately 6 or 8 rifles would engage your position. Not random fire, aimed shots, converging. They would keep shooting, keeping you pinned, while others maneuvered. You couldn't win a shooting match with them. Too many rifles, shooting too fast." This tactical problem, confronting German snipers by late 1944, was about to become far worse, though few German soldiers realized it. The M1C rifles, delayed in production and deployment, were beginning to reach combat units, not in large numbers. Perhaps a few hundred had actually deployed by December 1944, but enough to demonstrate a principle. Semi-automatic precision fire, properly employed, rendered traditional sniper tactics increasingly hazardous. German snipers who revealed their positions faced not bolt-action counter-snipers requiring seconds between shots, but semi-automatic marksmen who could engage immediately, repeatedly, persistently. The weather in late 1944 favoured defenders. Across Europe, fog and rain limited visibility, creating conditions that seemed to advantage patient snipers over rapid-fire tactics. German forces, pushed back toward their borders, fought from prepared positions with good fields of fire. These should have been ideal conditions for German sniper doctrine. Yet American after-action reports from this period note increasing effectiveness of designated marksmen. The reasons appeared contradictory to traditional sniping wisdom. In fog and limited visibility, rapid semi-automatic fire proved more effective than patient single shots. When targets appeared briefly through breaks in weather, the ability to fire multiple quick shots increased hit probability dramatically. An American marksman with an M1C might fire 4 or 5 shots at a fleeting target, adjusting after each round. A German sniper with a Kar 98K had time for perhaps 1 shot, maybe 2 if conditions permitted, before the target disappeared. This reversal of conventional wisdom, that semi-automatic fire excelled in conditions favouring bolt-action patience, was not yet fully understood by either army. But American combat veterans were learning it through experience. The Colmar Pocket fighting in January and February 1945 demonstrated these principles under particularly harsh conditions. Fog shrouded the Alsatian plain for days at a time, limiting visibility to 50 or 100 meters. Traditional long-range sniping became impossible. Yet, American infantry pushed forward, and German defenders found themselves under persistent, accurate fire even in fog. The explanation, pieced together from American and captured German reports, revealed evolved tactics. American designated marksmen, some now armed with M1C rifles but most still using M1903, A4s, or even standard M1 Garands, had learned to exploit brief visibility windows. When fog thinned momentarily, they fired immediately and repeatedly at any German position revealed. The semi-automatic M1 allowed this. Standard-issue Garands in marksmen's hands provided sustained fire. The handful of M1C rifles present offered scoped precision with semi-automatic speed. German snipers, trained for perfect shots under perfect conditions, found themselves suppressed by good enough shots, fired quickly enough to prevent effective response. Unterfeldwebel Hans Schroeder, captured near Colmar in February 1945, provided detailed information about German sniper experiences during interrogation. His account, preserved in Third Army intelligence files, reveals the psychological strain of facing American firepower doctrine. We were told American soldiers were poorly trained, wasteful with ammunition, ineffective marksmen. This was not what we encountered. Their shooting was adequate, sometimes very good. But what defeated us was the volume. In fog, you might see a target for 3 or 4 seconds, I could fire once, work my bolt, perhaps fire again. Their riflemen would fire 6, 8, 10 shots in that same time. Even if only one hit, that was enough, and we could not respond with equal fire. Our bolt rifles could not match their rate of shooting. This tactical reality, semi-automatic fire superiority in conditions that should have favored bolt-action precision, was being recognized at the highest levels of American command. General Omar Bradley's staff compiled reports on infantry weapons effectiveness throughout late 1944. The conclusions emphasized that M1 Garand's semi-automatic action provided decisive advantages in all weather conditions, not just clear weather engagements. Extended to designated marksman roles, the implication was clear. Semi-automatic precision fire should become standard, not experimental. Yet the M1C remained scarce. Production continued throughout 1945, but mounting problems prevented widespread issue. The improved M1D variant, with simplified mounting system, entered production too late to see wartime service. By VE Day in May 1945, perhaps 500 M1C rifles had reached European theatre combat units. Most remained in depot stocks, issued to specialized units or held for training. The potential remained largely unrealized until post-war conflicts. What did reach frontline units, and what German snipers faced with increasing frequency, was improved American marksmanship doctrine. Infantry regiments developed counter-sniper tactics, emphasizing rapid response with multiple rifles. Squads learned to identify likely sniper positions and suppress them immediately with massed fire. Designated marksmen, whether armed with scoped Springfields or standard Garands, received additional training in sustained precision shooting. The fundamental principle was simple. German snipers operated best when allowed to fight on their terms, patient single shots from concealment. American doctrine denied them that opportunity through persistent, accurate return fire. The German response came too late, and in insufficient quantities. The Gewehr 43, a capable semi-automatic rifle, entered service in 1943 but never achieved widespread distribution. Approximately 400,000 were produced throughout the war, compared to over 5 million M1 Garands. Some G-43s were fitted with scopes and issued to snipers, providing them with semi-automatic capability, but these remained rare. Most German snipers fought the entire war with bolt-action Kar-98Ks, increasingly outmatched by American fire doctrine, if not by individual American rifles. The Sturmgewehr 44, revolutionary in its intermediate cartridge and selective fire capability, arrived even later and in smaller numbers. Though some saw sniper use with scopes, the Sate G44 was primarily an assault weapon, not a precision instrument. Its development reflected German recognition that American firepower superiority required revolutionary solutions, but the timing and production volumes could not reverse battlefield realities. By early 1945, German industry struggled to produce any weapons in adequate quantities. Meanwhile, at Springfield Armory and workshops across the United States, production of scoped M1 variants continued. Engineers resolved mounting problems, improved quality control, refined the M1D mounting system. American industry, operating at full capacity with secure supply lines, could afford to develop and refine weapons even when immediate battlefield impact was limited. This represented perhaps the most significant disparity. Germany fought with what they had, unable to replace losses or develop new systems. America fought with what they needed, constantly improving and adapting. The spring of 1945 brought Germany's final collapse, but, in those last desperate weeks, individual combat encounters revealed the fundamental shift in military technology that the war had accelerated. The Rhine crossings in March, the advance through central Germany in April, the final battles in Bavaria and Austria all featured small unit actions, where German snipers, still armed predominantly with bolt-action rifles, faced American infantry whose doctrine and equipment had evolved beyond traditional sniping paradigms. Sergeant First Class Robert Mitchell of the 3rd Infantry Division encountered this evolution firsthand during the Rhine crossing near Worms on March 26, 1945. Mitchell, a designated marksman armed with an M1903, a 4 Springfield, had been operating in that role since the Anzio breakout. His experience illustrates how American marksmanship doctrine had adapted through 2 years of European combat. If you find this story engaging, please take a moment to subscribe and enable notifications. It helps us continue producing in-depth content like this. Mitchell's platoon faced German defenders dug into the eastern riverbank, using rubble and destroyed buildings for cover. Visibility varied from 200 to 400 yards, complicated by smoke from burning structures and early morning mist rising from the Rhine. German snipers had good positions with overlapping fields of fire. Traditional doctrine would have called for careful counter-sniper operations, perhaps bringing forward specialized sniper teams to hunt their German counterparts methodically. Mitchell's platoon employed different tactics that had evolved through hard experience. When German fire wounded the lead squad's BAR man, Mitchell and 2 other designated marksmen immediately engaged suspected sniper positions with rapid fire. Mitchell fired 8 rounds in perhaps 12 seconds, working his bolt smoothly between shots, not waiting for perfect target acquisition, but rather blanketing likely positions. The other marksmen, one with another scoped Springfield and one with a standard M1C Garand, did likewise. 40 rounds impacted a 50-meter section of German defensive line in under 30 seconds. Not all hit specific targets. Most served to suppress, to keep German heads down, to prevent effective return fire. This suppressive precision fire, as after-action reports termed it, allowed the platoon's rifle squads to maneuver. By the time German defenders could respond effectively, American infantry had closed to grenade range. Mitchell's platoon secured their objective in 18 minutes with 1 casualty. A German defense that might have held for hours against conventional tactics collapsed under sustained accurate fire that never gave defenders time to employ their marksmanship skills. Post-war analysis of Rhine crossing operations revealed similar patterns across multiple divisions. American success derived not from superior individual marksmanship. The German snipers were generally more skilled as individual shooters, but from superior fire doctrine that emphasized speed, volume, and suppression over perfect shot placement. The handful of M1C rifles that had reached combat units by spring 1945 demonstrated what this doctrine could achieve with fully realized semi-automatic precision weapons. Lieutenant James Foster of the 45th Infantry Division received an M1C in February 1945, one of perhaps a dozen issued to his regiment. His experiences, documented in a detailed letter to his father written in May 1945, provide rare contemporary accounts of the weapon's combat employment. Foster described an engagement near Aschaffenburg in early April, where his M1C's capabilities proved decisive. German defenders occupied multi-story buildings overlooking the American advance. Snipers in upper windows had clear fields of fire. Traditional response would position American counter-snipers to engage in methodical duels. Foster employed different tactics. When German fire came from a window, he engaged immediately with rapid semi-automatic fire, firing all 8 rounds at the window and surrounding structure. The sustained fire, delivered in seconds, either neutralized the German sniper or forced him away from the firing position. Either outcome achieved the tactical objective, suppressing German fire to allow friendly maneuver. Foster's letter emphasized the psychological impact on both sides. German snipers, accustomed to fighting bolt-action duels where skill and patience determined outcomes, found themselves overwhelmed by volume of fire that gave them no time to employ their skills. American infantry, seeing immediate sustained counterfire against German positions, gained confidence to maneuver aggressively. The M1C, in this tactical context, represented not merely a scoped rifle, but a different philosophy of precision fire employment. Traditional sniping emphasized the perfect shot, the single bullet perfectly placed. The M1C enabled rapid sequential shots, accepting good hits over perfect hits, prioritizing speed over absolute precision. This philosophical difference reflected broader patterns in American versus German military thinking by war's end. Germany retained 19th-century concepts of warfare, even as they developed revolutionary weapons like the Sate G-44 and Me-262 jet fighter. Individual excellence, perfect engineering, superior training, these remained ideological touchstones, even as material realities made them increasingly irrelevant. America embraced industrial-age warfare's realities. Sufficient quality in overwhelming quantity, integrated systems over individual components, pragmatic effectiveness over theoretical perfection. The M1C, scarce as it was in World War II combat, embodied this philosophy. It was not the perfect sniper rifle. German scopes were superior, optically. The Kar-98K was arguably more accurate as a pure precision instrument, but the M1C was good enough, and its semi-automatic action made it more effective in the rapid tempo of modern combat. German sniper training, for all its excellence, had not prepared men like Karl-Heinz Weber for this kind of warfare. They learned to read terrain, judge wind and distance, control breathing and trigger press. They learned patience, discipline, fieldcraft, all valuable skills, but increasingly insufficient against an enemy who fought differently. American designated marksmen learned to shoot quickly at fleeting targets, to maintain fire even without perfect conditions, to suppress rather than merely kill. Less elegant, perhaps less sporting, but devastatingly effective. The final weeks of European combat saw German sniper effectiveness decline precipitously. Partly this reflected overall German collapse, the Wehrmacht disintegrating under overwhelming pressure from east and west. But veteran German snipers, men who had survived years of combat, also fell with disturbing frequency. American after-action reports noted successful counter-sniper operations with increasing regularity. The explanation, visible in these reports, was systematic suppression doctrine. German snipers who revealed their positions faced immediate, overwhelming return fire from multiple American weapons. M1 Garands, Browning automatic rifles, scoped Springfields, and the rare M1C all converged on German positions. Even skilled snipers could not survive sustained accurate fire from 8 or 10 rifles. Hauptmann Ernst Brüning, captured in late April 1945, commanded a company that included 3 of the Wehrmacht's most experienced snipers. In his interrogation, he described their fate with bitter resignation. "My snipers were excellent soldiers, among the best in the division. Each had over 100 confirmed kills. In Russia, they were untouchable, killing Soviet officers and commissars with impunity. In France, they held entire American companies at bay for hours. In Germany, defending our own soil, they survived less than 2 weeks. The Americans gave them no chance. Every time they fired, 10 or 20 American rifles answered immediately. My snipers could not fight that way. They died bravely but uselessly." Brüning's account, preserved in 7th Army intelligence files, captures the tragedy of German military excellence rendered irrelevant by American material superiority and evolved doctrine. German snipers were not defeated by superior American snipers in traditional duels of skill. They were defeated by systems, by doctrine that emphasized collective fire superiority over individual excellence, by industrial capacity that armed every American rifleman with semi-automatic weapons and some with scoped semi-automatics. The mathematics, so favorable to German snipers in earlier wars, had shifted decisively against them. Statistical analysis supports these qualitative accounts. American casualty data from January through May 1945 shows declining losses to German sniper fire, even as fighting intensified during Germany's final defense. German casualties from American precision fire, conversely, increased throughout the same period. The disparity reflected not merely overall American superiority, but specifically the effectiveness of evolved American counter-sniper doctrine. By war's end, German snipers represented little threat to American operations. Their individual skills remained high, but their tactical employment had become obsolete. The Pacific Theater told similar stories, though environmental differences shaped specifics. Japanese snipers, operating in jungle terrain at closer ranges, initially proved devastatingly effective against American forces. Marine and Army divisions developed counter-tactics, emphasizing immediate suppression with semi-automatic fire. The M1 Garand's advantages over bolt-action rifles proved even more pronounced in jungle fighting, where targets appeared briefly at short range. The M1C saw limited Pacific deployment, perhaps fewer than 100 rifles reaching combat units before Japanese surrender. But standard M1 Garands in designated marksman roles proved sufficient. Semi-automatic fire at 200 yards through dense vegetation suppressed Japanese positions more effectively than bolt-action precision at 400 yards in clear conditions. Marine Corps analysis from Okinawa operations in spring 1945 emphasized that traditional sniping concepts had limited application in modern combat. The report noted that sustained accurate fire from multiple rifles proved more tactically valuable than perfect shots from individual snipers. This conclusion validated what European combat had already demonstrated. Warfare's tempo had accelerated beyond traditional sniping doctrines' effectiveness. The future belonged to rapid, semi-automatic precision fire, not patient bolt-action hunting. The M1C represented early recognition of this truth, though wartime production problems prevented full realization of its potential. Post-war developments vindicated the M1C's design philosophy, even as the specific rifle faced obsolescence. The Korean War saw extensive M1C deployment, finally giving the weapon combat employment in significant numbers. Korean combat, characterized by long-range engagements across mountainous terrain, seemed ideal for traditional sniping. Yet after-action reports consistently noted, the M1C's semi-automatic action proved more valuable than its telescopic sight. Rapid follow-up shots, the ability to engage multiple targets quickly, fire superiority in sniper versus sniper encounters, all derived from semi-automatic operation rather than magnified optics. The M21 sniper rifle, adopted in 1956, continued the M1C's philosophy in modernized form. Based on the M14 rifle, itself an improved M1 Garand, the M21 provided semi-automatic precision fire with improved optics and adjustable stock. Vietnam War employment proved the concept decisively. American snipers, armed with semi-automatic M21s, consistently outperformed opponents armed with bolt-action rifles, not through superior marksmanship, but through superior fire doctrine enabled by superior weapons. The ability to fire rapid follow-up shots, to engage multiple targets in quick succession, to maintain suppressive fire while repositioning all derived from semi-automatic operation. German post-war analysis proved remarkably candid about Wehrmacht shortcomings. A Bundeswehr study from 1958, examining World War II sniper operations, concluded that German doctrine had emphasized individual skill at the expense of tactical integration. German snipers operated as lone hunters, achieving individual successes, but providing limited support to infantry operations. American designated marksmen, less skilled individually but better integrated with rifle units and armed with superior weapons, proved more tactically effective. The study recommended that future German forces adopt semi-automatic sniper rifles and American-style integration of precision shooters with infantry squads. This recommendation reflected hard lessons learned through 5 years of combat. The Wehrmacht had entered World War II confident in traditional military virtues: skill, discipline, superior training, quality equipment. They had learned, at devastating cost, that industrial-age warfare favored different virtues: adequate quality in overwhelming quantity, pragmatic effectiveness, rapid adaptation, integrated combined arms. The M1C, barely deployed during the war that spawned it, represented these principles in microcosm. Not the perfect sniper rifle, but good enough and available in numbers that quality alone could never match. For German snipers like Karl-Heinz Weber. These lessons came too late. Weber survived the Rapido River fighting, retreated north through Italy, fought in the Gothic Line, and finally surrendered in northern Italy in May 1945. His war had lasted 54 months. He had been credited with 67 confirmed kills across 3 fronts. His Kar 98K, lovingly maintained through years of combat, had never failed him mechanically. Yet in his final months of combat, he had been increasingly ineffective, suppressed by American fire doctrine he had no counter for, unable to employ skills honed through years of experience. His post-war reflections, recorded in a 1978 interview with military historians, carried bitter recognition of technological and doctrinal displacement. We were excellent snipers by any measure. Our equipment was superb, our training was thorough, our experience was extensive. Yet we could not compete with American firepower doctrine. They did not fight sniper duels on our terms. They overwhelmed positions with rapid fire from multiple weapons. Individual skill mattered less than collective fire superiority. This was difficult to accept. We had been taught that German military excellence derived from individual soldier quality. The Americans proved that superior systems beat superior individuals. Their semi-automatic rifles, distributed to every soldier, represented this principle. We had better snipers. They had better armed infantry. In modern war, that proved decisive. Weber's assessment, echoed by hundreds of German veterans, captures World War II's central technological lesson. Individual excellence, however refined, could not overcome systemic superiority. The M1C rifle, produced in tiny numbers and barely deployed before war's end, mattered less than what it represented. The future of military small arms lay in semi-automatic and automatic fire, in weapons that prioritized rapid shooting over ultimate precision, in doctrine that emphasized fire superiority over marksmanship perfection. German snipers, superbly trained and equipped with excellent bolt-action rifles, had represented military thinking's past. American designated marksmen, adequately trained and armed with good enough semi-automatic rifles, represented its future. The 800-yard shots in fog that the video's title suggests were possible with the M1C were, in fact, achievable, though rarely attempted. The M82 scope's 2.2 power magnification limited effective range compared to higher magnification German optics. 30-06 ammunition's trajectory required significant holdover at 800 yards. Fog reduced visibility, making target acquisition difficult. Yet the few documented instances of M1C employment at extreme range consistently noted successful engagements. The explanation was straightforward. Semi-automatic action allowed multiple rapid shots, compensating for range estimation errors and environmental variables. A German sniper might fire once or twice at 800 yards, limited by his bolt-action rifle's slow operation. An American with an M1C could fire 5 or 6 shots in the time required for 2 bolt-action shots, adjusting aim based on observed impacts. This capacity for rapid adjustment through semi-automatic fire proved more valuable than perfect first-shot accuracy. Modern sniping emphasizes first-round hits, and contemporary doctrine considers multiple shots at the same target a failure of preparation. World War II combat, more chaotic and closer ranged than modern counterinsurgency, rewarded different priorities. Speed mattered more than perfection. Suppression mattered more than kills. Fire superiority mattered more than marksmanship excellence. The M1C embodied these priorities even when deployed too late and in too few numbers to impact World War II's outcome significantly. Technology's historical significance often derives not from immediate impact, but from principles established. The M1C mattered not because 7,971 rifles changed World War II's course. They did not. The M1C mattered because it established that semi-automatic precision fire was practical, effective, and superior to bolt-action sniping in modern combat conditions. This principle, proven by limited World War II employment and validated by extensive Korean and Vietnam combat, shaped all subsequent sniper rifle development. Every modern military sniper rifle, from the Soviet Dragunov to the American M110 to contemporary platforms, accepts as fundamental that semi-automatic or automatic fire capability is essential for effective precision shooting. German snipers never knew, because so few encountered them, that M1C rifles with scopes could kill from 800 yards in fog. But they learned the underlying lesson through painful experience. American semi-automatic rifles, whether standard M1, Garands or scoped variants, provided fire superiority that German bolt-action rifles could not match. This superiority manifested in every engagement, every firefight, every attempt by German snipers to employ traditional tactics against an enemy who fought by different rules. The specific weapon mattered less than the doctrine and industrial capacity it represented. By May 8, 1945, when Germany surrendered unconditionally, the transformation was complete. German snipers, among the Wehrmacht's most skilled soldiers, had been rendered tactically obsolete, not by superior American snipers, but by superior American infantry, armed with semi-automatic rifles and supported by evolved doctrine. The age of the lone sniper, patient and hidden, taking perfect shots with bolt-action rifles, had ended in the mountains of Italy and forests of Germany. The age of integrated precision fire, rapid and overwhelming, delivered by designated marksmen with semi-automatic rifles, had begun. The M1C, barely glimpsed during the war that created it, pointed toward this future even as most German snipers never saw one. The human cost of this technological transition rarely appears in statistical analyses or doctrinal studies. German snipers died throughout 1944 and 45, their skills and training rendered insufficient by American material superiority. They fought bravely, professionally, using tactics and weapons that would have excelled in previous wars. They faced an enemy who fought differently, who valued adequate shooting in overwhelming volume over perfect shooting in limited quantity, who possessed the industrial capacity to arm every infantryman with weapons superior to German specialized equipment. Individual tragedy multiplied across thousands of engagements produced strategic reality. German snipers could not overcome American firepower superiority through skill alone. American designated marksmen, many barely trained by German standards, achieved tactical success through superior weapons and doctrine. They shot adequately, not perfectly. They suppressed effectively rather than killing efficiently. They integrated with rifle squads rather than operating independently. These deviations from traditional sniping doctrine proved more effective in modern combat's rapid tempo. The M1C, when available, enhanced these capabilities through scoped semi-automatic precision. But the doctrine succeeded even with standard M1 Garands, because the doctrine itself, not specific weapons, represented the fundamental innovation. Post-war decades saw this innovation's full flowering. The Korean War's M1C deployment demonstrated the rifle's tactical value. The M21's Vietnam service validated semi-automatic sniper doctrine conclusively. Modern sniper rifles, almost universally semi-automatic or bolt-action with quick follow-up shot capability, accept as fundamental the principle the M1C pioneered: rapid, accurate fire beats perfect slow fire in combat. This seems obvious now, validated by 70 years of subsequent experience. In 1944, when German snipers first encountered American semi-automatic marksmanship, it represented revolutionary thinking. German doctrine, proven through centuries of European warfare, emphasized quality over quantity, skill over systems, individual excellence over collective capability. American doctrine, forged in industrial revolution's crucible, prioritized different values: good enough in overwhelming numbers, integrated systems, pragmatic effectiveness. The M1C rifle stood at this philosophical intersection, a weapon that worked well enough, produced in sufficient numbers, representing principles that would dominate warfare's future. German snipers never knew about most M1C rifles, because most never left American depots during World War II. But they learned about the principles those rifles embodied, learned through encounters with American designated marksmen whose semi-automatic rifles provided fire superiority that no amount of German training or skill could overcome. The transformation from traditional sniping to modern precision fire doctrine occurred in those encounters, on Italian hillsides and French hedgerows and German forests, one firefight at a time. Karl-Heinz Weber's experience above the Rapido River in February 1944, pinned by American semi-automatic fire he could not match, represented this transformation's beginning. Thousands of similar experiences across 2 years of combat completed the transformation. By war's end, German snipers understood that their bolt-action rifles, however well made, represented obsolete technology. American semi-automatic rifles, however pragmatic, represented warfare's future. The M1C, barely glimpsed during the war, symbolized this future. Not perfect, but effective. Not beautiful, but sufficient. Not craftsman's art, but industrial product. These qualities, dismissed by traditional military thinking, proved decisive in industrial age total war. Thank you for watching. For more detailed historical breakdowns, check out the other videos on your screen now, and don't forget to subscribe.